Hi guys, and welcome back to another video of tracking my progress, talking about different projects of mine in terms of trading, investing, property, and different things like that. In these videos, it's part of a playlist, and I'm taking you on a journey of, I guess, an inside view into what it's like to be involved in trading, investing, property developments, right from the start. And I'm going through pretty granularly. It's Thursday the 5th of March 2020. This may go live a couple of weeks after the event, just because I've got a lot of videos that are in the process of being edited, but nevertheless, I think there's some value in watching the video because I go through, I guess, my learnings in these different things. So we're gonna have 4 different things today. A trading update in terms of my financial trading. The second thing is we're gonna be talking about a property update in terms of our little property plan that we've got. Third is a work update. And the fourth is a freelancing update, telling you, sort of giving you an insight into what I do, I guess, for a living day to day and how I manage my different clients. So without further ado, so the trading update, I think I've made, if you've been seeing my other videos, and definitely look at those after this if you're interested. I split my trading and investing into 3 different categories. The first is buy and hold, long-term investing. The second is medium term, and what I'm classing as medium term is between 1 month and 12 months option strategy and day-to-day buying and selling. And the second is day trading. And in today's video, it's Thursday the 5th of March, we're coming to the end of the day, and I wanted to talk about my progress today. It's been a really rocky week, thinking that markets were going to go flat downwards. It hasn't been that case this week. Instead, it's been very much up and down almost every day. Yesterday, the FTSE 100 in the UK was was up something like 2 or 3%. Today, it's down 3%, and that gives you an idea of what's been going on. Yesterday was quite stressful for me because I was expecting things to go down and they went up. It was the day after the Fed decreased their interest rates. Apparently, the people are talking about the Biden bounce. Joe Biden got in for the Democratic elections, or the Super Tuesday thing, and that boosted stock markets. I don't know if it was a bounce because of interest rates or because of Joe Biden, but nevertheless, it was unexpected a day after the event of the interest rate decision by the Fed, and the knock-on effect for the FTSE was that it rocketed, despite things like EasyJet and British Airways cancelling flights right, left and centre all over Europe. A lot of these stocks went up, which is really surprising. I found that the retailers that I was shorting as well went up. I lost some money yesterday, not a huge amount. But going into today, I thought to myself last night, I don't want to have as much stress as I had yesterday. So I decided I wouldn't wake up before the trading bell, and I'd get up at a reasonable time. And I would, even if I got up, I wouldn't look at the stock market straight away. I actually had a 10 o'clock meeting anyway. And after the meeting, I looked at my stocks at about 11 o'clock. I looked at my short positions and my options, and I sold some of my short positions in Marks and Spencer's for a decent profit. I mean, for me at least, it's decent. I have a target of around £100 to £200 a day profit, which works out around, I don't know, $150 to $300 a day profit. That's my target. So far, I've made about 200 sterling profit, £200, about $300 on the day trading of Marks and Spencer's and EasyJet, both on the short side of things as the market's gone in my favour, it's gone down. General background, if you're watching this way into the future, is at the moment stock markets are going down, and there's been a bit of a correction because of this coronavirus, this COVID-19 virus, which is spreading around the world, and it's impacting a lot of the stock markets around the world. So the other thing that I'm curious about, and maybe if you've traded options or been involved in shorting and trading different derivatives and different financial products, the other thing that I'm interested in and that I'm doing a little bit of is options trading. And I guess the thing that's going around in my head at the moment is, do I keep them for the medium to long term, or do I essentially flip them? So what's happened in the last 7 days is I've been buying options, medium term options, the kind of things that are expiring. We're in March now, and I've been buying and selling options that actually expire in like April, May, June, that kind of thing. And I'm thinking to myself, is there value in just flipping them when the premiums go up? And actually, I've been doing that before the market bell in the US. So I'm buying them like in the morning in the UK at like 9 a.m, which I imagine would be around, I don't know, something like 3 or 4 a.m. I guess 5-hour difference maybe, 4 a.m. in US time. And then selling them maybe 30 minutes before the bell for a profit. And I'm just gonna open my account now and have a quick look. So how much did I make? Yeah, so I did this with a May puts option today. I made 150, I don't know if you can see. I'll see if I can show you here. you see? So 150 pounds sterling for that option. I bought it for 87 and sold it for 106. Now, I don't know if this is like a normal thing. Do people like flip options? And that's basically what I'm doing. I'm trying to buy and sell options. I never thought I would do it on a daily or weekly basis, but I am making a bit of money doing this. The reason I'm doing this, I guess a note to the audience, is the initial logic was I was going to buy them and keep them for like a month or two, and maybe those put options at the moment, I've got them at like 29.50, 2900, 3000. Like, I think that the stock market in the US is probably going to fall. It's going to continue to fall when the ramifications, the supply chain disruptions, and consumer, I guess there's going to be discretionary consumer spending, which is going to go down because people are going to be staying at home and working from home, that kind of thing. People are calling it social distancing, like not going into work and not meeting up, instead doing things like staying at home, watching YouTube, that kind of thing. So I guess, like, yeah, I bought them with the view to keeping them for like a period of time. I still think the thesis is correct that the stock market will fall, but I've noticed a profit-making opportunity by flipping them. I don't know if any of my watchers do that. If you do that, or know of people that are literally just doing option trading on almost like a daily basis, or maybe a couple of times a week, specifically for these like medium to long-term options, like 2 to 9 month options. I think it's kind of interesting. Obviously, like if you're rebuying them, like if I buy a 2900 put on the S&P, the SPY index, and I've bought it for 87, let's say, and I sold it for 106, obviously it makes sense to try to buy it for less than 106. Recently, today, I did rebuy for, I think it was 99. I looked at it at 96, and then 2 or 3 seconds later, it'd gone up to 99, so I thought maybe this is a trend, maybe it will continue and I can resell the same option for 106 tomorrow or the next day. So let's see, I don't know. I'm new to options. I've only been doing options since September 2019, so about 6 months. And I've only started making money from them very recently because I bought these options that were out of the money for Marks and Spencer's. And I did make money from those just recently because they've fallen. I made a little bit of money from Genpact options as well, which is a decent sized company. I think it's like 6 billion or something like that. It's actually not that big in the States. Anyway, the point is I'm fairly new to options, and this flipping of medium term options is kind of new to me. They're out of the money options as well, so often they're not even in the money. The premiums are just rising despite them not being anywhere near the money. But I think it's the general volatility, and I'm thinking, like, if I can keep doing that, keep buying like 2900 puts or whatever, and the premiums go up 10 points, I make roughly £100, somewhere between £100 to £200 every time, then, you know, if I can do that a couple of times a week, then that's pretty good. So at some point I can actually, I guess, decide to hold, but if I can do that 4 or 5 times, then I've actually got the option for 100% for free, which for me is a kind of intriguing concept, that as the volatility in the market's going like this, if I can, you know, trade these options to get, you know, maybe after the 4th or 5th time, to get it completely free, and it still is sort of concurrent, it still sort of matches up with my overall thesis about the market, and I've only lost like 2 weeks time value. Like, I think that's really interesting. So let me know, like, if you're an options trader, if you've done options before, if you're doing the same thing, if you're noticing the same trend. I don't know if this is the kind of thing that is normal. I feel like it's the kind of thing where options pricing is a little bit off because volatility is just so high. There is margin to be made, or there's profit to be made by leveraging this, I guess, the discrepancies in the volatility, in the margin move, in the premium movements, as well as the fact that you don't even need to get in the money because there's so much volatility as we speak. I'm talking March 2020 here, so that's interesting. That's the first thing that's on trading. The other thing I could say is that I'm reducing my long positions. I am reducing my long positions because I've got some strong companies that I like, but I think they are going to be hit. And I wouldn't suggest this for everybody, but I think that, like, I expect those prices to fall by 10-20% this year. And I prefer to use that capital in options and shorts and just keep some in cash and then rebuy them. I know that's a risky strategy. I've done it before where I've sold at highs and then only to see stocks rise and rise, but I think this is different. I get the impression we're in correction, bear market territory, especially if this virus continues to spread. So anyways, I'm going more into options and I'm getting interested in it. I'm sort of thinking, I'm hoping that I'm not the fool here. I know there's about 90% of people that lose money with these options, but I guess deep down, I'm really hoping that I'm not one of those 90%. I feel that I'm sort of learning about options, and I'm hoping that, I guess the lessons that I'm learning, I'm hoping I can attribute to further success, but we'll see. Okay, the second thing, property update. So I mentioned in a previous video, we had considered turning our house into a HMO, which is a property of multiple occupants, where you rent by the room, which has stronger yields, higher cash flows and things. But in the UK, the legislations are getting much more restrictive and challenging. And it just doesn't seem that, like, on a cash flow basis, you know, with the tax liabilities and things they're creating, the budget's out in a week from today, so they'll probably make it even more difficult. And that's just, for me, it's making that decision to change strategy a lot easier, and we're deciding to change our 5-bedroom house into flats. And I spoke with my business partner today. We're going to go ahead with this. We're hoping to get moving in the next week. In the UK, we have to go to apply for planning, so that's the next step. We were talking about plan Bs, and the plan Bs are, like, planning is like quite time intensive in the UK. It's quite expensive, costs about £4,000 or £5,000, maybe $8,000. But the profit potential, if we are granted the permission to turn the house into flats, is pretty immense. 3 flats, somewhere between £300,000, maybe, I don't know what that is in dollars, $500,000, if we're granted planning permission. Even if we're granted planning permission, like, and we don't do the work, then, like, it probably still increases valuations by like 80 grand, which is maybe, I don't know the calculations, but maybe probably well over $100,000. So it's, for me, it's kind of like options. Like, the option is, you know, your margin that you're putting up is the cost of planning. So, like, you know, £5,000, let's say. And the valuation or the profit you get is either the optionality is to flip it without doing the work, or we could actually do the work, maybe 6 months to 9 months of work, and reap the benefits, which I guess would be maybe letting the option or exercise the option to actually do this blending things here between trading and property. But essentially, I see it as like a 5k option that, by the way, the probabilities of us actually getting planning are somewhere between 40 and 50%. So when you look at, like, there's like a term in trading where you should try and set up your trades for optimal success, i.e. put money behind trades that have a higher than 50-50 chance, and like the profit potential should be a lot higher than 50-50. So it should be, 50-50 would be 1-to-1, but you should try and go for like 1-to-3 or 1-to-4, because you're not always going to be able to trade profitably. And I guess it's the same with property. I was chatting to my partner today, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be hoping that we'll turn our 5-bed into 2 or 3 flats. Even if you just get planning for 2 flats, it's still 100k profit if we do the work, roughly. And so that 5k, like, the probability of us getting planning is about 50-50, but the profit potential is 5k costs, and then profit is like 100k. So it's like 20x, it's like 1-to-20. So that means that trade is like, it's going to be profitable like most of the time. So I had this discussion with my partner. Like, he's more like detail focused. I guess I'm more like, I don't know, maybe more analytical or numerical or commercial maybe. And I said to him that, like, if it doesn't work with this house, if they reject planning, let's say, it's cost us 5k. We can maybe like spruce up the house a little bit more, try and sell it for like, you know, 20 or 30k profit, and then move on to another house that has at least 50% chance of going for this house into flats and do the same thing. And let's say we do that 3 or 4 times. Okay, it's a bit stressful. We might have to do, like, I don't know, 1 or 2 of these flips every year, but at some point in the future, maybe it's a year from now, maybe it's 2 years from now, maybe it's 3 years from now, we'll get one of these projects, and yeah, it might have cost us like, I don't know, 20 to 40k in moving costs and these planning processes, but eventually we'll be able to reap a pretty good profit. And I'm really interested in getting involved in different projects. I don't just do property, I do all sorts of different things. But I think property is the most exciting because I find it really interesting to see things change and develop, and also it has potential for really good profit. The third update is my work update. We do quarterly business reviews at my freelancing job, and results, I'm smashing results there. I do paid advertising for a living, marketing, digital advertising if you like, and yeah, my results, I'm just absolutely smashing it. So I can't give you the exact figure, but results are up between 40 and 50% for that quarter, and month on month they're improving. So I just come back, annoyingly I had a kidney infection, and there was a little bit of tension at work because I've been off work for so long, you know, I think it's 3 or 4 weeks in the end, and because yeah, it took time to recover. But essentially it was really good that my results on the paid advertising, my day job, were getting better. The other thing I wanted to do was talk about like freelancing and freelancing updates, the fourth thing. I'm going to lift up my camera and sort of show you behind the scenes. I don't normally, I guess, would I recommend this setup? I'm going to talk a little bit now about my freelancing setup. I guess what works for me and what's worked for me today, a little bit behind the scenes. I'm not sure I'd recommend it because I have an Apple Mac computer, which I normally use, but for various reasons I'm not using that now. I've got a more interesting, different setup, so I'm going to quickly show you what that looks like. So I've actually got like a couple of PCs here, which I guess it's a little bit unusual, but it helps me to manage my workload. So this one is my sort of freelancing PC. Yeah, I've just done a deck presentation for one of my clients, my freelancing clients, so that's good. And then this one is one that I'm using for uploading. I also use it as a second monitor for trading, and then I've got my other work laptop as well, which is a Dell. So I've actually got 3 laptops, which is kind of confusing, or some people might find it confusing. I do it because, for one reason, I've got more plugs. So I've got instead of having 1 or 2 USBs, I've got I don't know, maybe 8. I guess it's a hedge on processing speed. So having one computer doing loads of things, it means that it puts a lot of pressure on the actual processor. And if I've got 3 laptops, I also use my phone as well and split the screen on my phone. So it means I've got a lot more processing space. I've got a lot more screens as well, which means when I'm trading, it's quite useful. I'm not a chartist. I do most of my trading on my phone, to be honest. I don't really feel like I need to have millions of screens. Sometimes I think that can actually cloud judgment a little bit. But certainly when there's price movement within weekly options, when I'm looking at these, like I mentioned earlier, these options that I'm flipping and prices are moving quite dramatically, it is quite useful to have one laptop doing the uploads for my YouTube, another laptop which has got the S&P 500 and the FTSE 100, and then I've got my phone that can execute the trades. I think that is quite useful. It's not that expensive to do this setup. The small laptop is a light laptop I use for traveling. It was about 200 quid, £200 sterling. The other one, the HP, is an old laptop. Again, that was about 300. And the Dell is obviously my main client. They supplied that. So, yeah, you might say, why the hell are you doing that? Why don't you just get a really strong gaming computer or a really strong Apple Mac? Well, firstly, I have an Apple Mac, which I haven't set up yet, or for various reasons. Firstly, I have a Apple Mac computer. I think it is pretty good for a lot of things, but there's certain, I guess in my mind, there's a certain level of there's a certain compartmentalization, is that how you say it? I like to have things in different compartments, and I like to have, for example, one computer that's for one kind of work. So my Dell, for example, is for the big corporate work. My Lenovo is for my smaller clients, and the other laptop I'm generally using for YouTube. So maybe that's really weird and unusual. It might be, but I thought I'd show you anyway. I also like to have different lights as well. You probably noticed I've got some cool lights back here. This is not a light actually. This is daylight. And also, yeah, I think it's quite cool to be able to control your environment with different things. And I guess my laptop setup really reflects my client base, and it also reflects the fact that I'm interested in training and feel like I need to have. It also reflects, I guess, my interest in trading. So yeah, to summarize, we've had the trading update where I've been doing, it's been going in my favor in terms of my shorts, which is always easier, today at least. So I made about 200 there, that was good. And then these flipping of options seems to be something I'm interested in. If you do it, I've been doing it and I've probably made £1,000 this week, sterling, doing that. If you have done that, let me know. I'd be really interested in finding out a bit more about this. I do have there's a tiny bit of anxiety when I'm doing this because I haven't done it before. I don't know anyone that's done it before. So I'd be interested to find out if you have. Yeah, the work update's going well. I'm really enjoying the freelancing work I'm doing at the moment. And also the freelancing for the smaller clients is also going well. And I showed you a little bit of my unusual setup, having different laptops. I do think it's useful having different laptops for different things. A travel laptop, one that always stays at home, blah blah blah. But anyway, let me know about your setup. What kind of setup do you have? If you're a freelancer or if you're a trader, maybe you want to snap a photo of your home setup or what you have. I'm very new to trading and things like that, and I'll keep you guys updated on the property stuff as well. I think that's a long enough video for today, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure you check out my other videos for tips, tricks and hacks, as well as other pros and cons.